What's going on, guys? Welcome back into the Very Blessed podcast. My name is Derek, and I just wanted to jump on this morning to give you some content since it's been a few days. And this morning specifically, I want to talk a little bit about faith. I have always prided myself on having a pretty diverse friends group. It's just kind of always been that way. And that's really just because, I've just never really had a type when it's came to friends. So, the demographics groups never really mattered to me. So black, white, Asian, Hispanic, again, it just never mattered. If we vibed, if we had things in common, cool. Let's hang out. Let's share a meal. Let's back in the day, let's grab a drink, those types of things. I've just never had any prejudices. And I think that's the Rochelle Fearson in me. My mom was always that way too. And because, I've had such a diverse group of friends, it's also just given me so much insight into culture and into, what people go through, and sometimes it has to do with, the color of their skin. Sometimes it has to do with just the way that they were raised, the area that they were brought up in. But again, I've just had all of these different, experiences in my own life, but by having such a diverse group of friends, I've also been able to communicate with them and discuss life, through their eyes as well. And when you have different, cultures and different, races and things of that nature, you also have different levels of faith. And sometimes there's a lack thereof. Sometimes, you have friends that are non-believers that don't have faith at all in any type of higher power. But I think with Christians specifically, especially when you're a Christian, a really devout Christian that really dives into, the Bible, and you start to really get yourself right with God, you tend to start shutting people out, people that are not of the church. And, maybe it's, people that are non-believers, you start to shut them out. And early in my walk, when I really started to get serious and really started to, go to Bible school and study and whatnot, I found myself doing that. And then I stopped, because the reality of it is, you do not have to shut out people just because they do not share the same beliefs as you. If all of us were required to share the same beliefs as each other, I don't know if there'd be any two of us that would truly be on the same page, because each person is unique. Each person is different. So I've got a couple of friends that are close friends of mine. I've known these guys for, 20 years each, easily. And both of them are non-believers. They've always been non-believers. And they've always known that I've been a believer. And, for a long time, I had one foot in the church, one foot out of the church. And I was very hypocritical with my walk with God. Since I've turned kind of that page, though, and I've really dug in and really taken my walk with God seriously, they've noticed a shift. They've noticed a change, but they've never shut me out. Versus when I very first made the shift and the change because of me getting really serious with my walk, I was beginning to shut them out. But isn't it funny? When Jesus was here on earth, he interacted with tax collectors and prostitutes and people who just weren't morally right. And that's not me to say that, I am on this high horse, or am this person that is blameless in any stretch of the imagination, because I'm not. Still very much so a sinner. But I use Jesus because he was the one example of a person that did live a life of perfection, and he still interacted with people who had a sinful nature. So who would I be as a person that also has a sinful nature that is just striving and trying to be Christ-like, who would I be to just cut off these people that I've known for years and years? But here's the thing. Here's the advice this morning. It is 100% fine if you have friends, if you have family members that are non-believers. You can absolutely hang out with them. You can absolutely still do all the things that you love to do with them, as long as it doesn't affect your moral compass. As long as it does not affect your walk with God, you absolutely should hang out with these people, because you're going to be a light to them. Sometimes I have my couple of friends that I've been telling you about that are non-believers, that they'll ask me for spiritual advice. Now, most of the time they do not follow it, but they still sometimes will ask me for it when we go out and we hang out with one another. They know that I have limits. They know that my morals have changed, and there's some things that they like to do that I don't like to do, so I don't partake in that part of the hangout session. But it doesn't affect our friendship if you have the emotional intelligence and the mental capacity and the willpower to hang around those that perhaps do some things that you do not like to do and that your moral compass tells you not to do. You can still hang around those people, but also putting yourself in a position to be tempted isn't always the best thing to do. Let's just put it that way. So if they're doing things that just do not agree with your moral compass, then maybe you suggest doing something else to hang out and allow them to do those things that they want to do on their own time. My friends know that they get zero judgment from me. I used to do the exact same things. It's just now I'm in a different place. We don't have to shut people out, but we do have to remain committed to our morals, remain committed to our values, especially if we are calling ourselves Christians and trying to be Christ-like. But again, if we're trying to be Christ-like, Christ hung out with sinners too, and we by nature are sinners as well. So the encouragement today is, if you're feeling some type of way about, your walk with God affecting your ability to hang out with family or hang out with friends, know that you still can. I still do. But just know your limits. Know your limits. We were never meant to walk this path alone. We were always meant to do it with people. So we have to surround ourselves with people and be that light. Jesus also calls us to be a light to others. So let your light shine. God bless you. Talk to you soon.